Hello, friends in all swell lands and other lands and multiverses. This is Preetha with 5 minutes of authenticity and wishing you a fantastic April. As you know, I try and theme my weekly swellcasts according to whatever comes to mind, because being an authenticity coach, I cannot be anything but authentic when I'm talking to you guys. And so this time, given it's 4 months into the year, my theme is simply an authentic April. How about that? So this first episode, we will just talk a little bit about what is authenticity, why it matters. And then in the next couple of episodes, we'll talk about when does it come under pressure and why do we struggle with it? When does it become hard to stay authentic? And finally, in the last week of April, we'll talk about our inner compass that directs us back to our authentic selves and why and how that is done, why it's important and such. At the very outset, I will ask you to excuse my voice, which is still going over the last remnants of a pharyngitis that I had, and I hope you'll excuse me for my occasional clearing of my throat. Anyway, speaking of authenticity, and let's call this authenticity one-on-one, it is simply living in alignment with your core values, your core beliefs, and your true identity. So imagine if a painter was asked to be in a routine 9-to-5 job that led them to do nothing more than enter data or do something that was very mundane but very, very non-creative. They obviously would not be living an authentic life. Now, why does this matter so much? Because unless we are living in alignment with these values, we will face a time and moments in our life where we will question that dissonance and go back to asking, okay, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I, why am I living a lie? This may happen at any period in our life. It can happen midlife, later in life. When I speak to people who talk to me about authenticity who talk to me as a as a coach and seek my counsel, one of the common factors that come through in all of the conversations is that dissonance, is that duplicity with which they have lived a life that compromised on what things that were important to them. Now, why does that come about? Oftentimes, to be authentic, one has to be vulnerable. And to be vulnerable, one has to put their ego aside and be okay to look wrong or okay to stand out of the crowd and say, you know what, this is what I want. I really believe in this cause and I'm seeking your help. Say, this could be the statement of a volunteer seeking something for a social cause, showing their authenticity, showing their vulnerability. Another thing about authenticity that I really like to impress upon, it does not mean sharing everything with everybody. It does not mean having no boundaries. I read this meme the other day on Instagram, which was fantastic. It said, having a boundary does not mean closing the walls around you. It just means being able to show someone the door. Because it is important to have your boundaries to remain authentic. It does not mean you are a doormat. An authentic person and their evolution of authenticity is a lifelong process. Okay, so here is something to get started in April. Think about a meaningful step after you've listened to this swellcast about what can you do to reaffirm your authenticity to yourself or to others. And we'll talk more in the next week.